Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Thursday, September 18th, 2014. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5. If it's Thursday, that means we get a full dose of 24/7 sports recruiting guru, Steve Wiltfong. Steve, good morning. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Good morning, Daniel.
So today we're going to get back to one of our favorite games here in the show, actually the only game we play, the in or out game. For those of you with Mensa-like capabilities of Tom Herman, no need to apply for this game. This is a pretty simple game. I will name a recruit or potential recruit from the Ohio State target list, and Steve Wiltfong will share his opinion as to whether or not this player will end up in Ohio State's class. We played this a while back, so this is obviously a fluid situation, a fun thing to do every now and then. Here we go. Starting at the top. You ready to rock?
Yeah, I had a key miss last time, though. I had Van Jefferson in, and he's now a Georgia dog. So take it all with a grain of salt, guys.
No, it's fluid. And listen,
sure.
We were all surprised by Van. I think Georgia was even surprised, for that matter. But that's a day for another story. So let's get started here at the top. So we're going to go off the Ohio State 2015 football targets list, which is located on everybody's Bucknut site here, broken down into top targets. We keep a real diligent list here. So there are 23 top targets. Some have already committed to Ohio State. Some have committed elsewhere. But we'll take it from the top. Number one, he was in here a little bit ago, defensive end Josh Sweat from Chesapeake, Virginia, in or out?
Still out. I think Ohio State certainly impressed enough to make the top 5, and I think Josh has genuine interest in Ohio State, but I still think Florida State, Georgia, and Virginia Tech have the edge. Okay,
we're going to spend more time on the yeses than the nos because this is called Bucknuts. Number 2 on the list here with a rating of 98.7, the number 1 running back in the country, Damien Harris out of Berea, Kentucky.
I still have him in. Had another good visit for the Virginia Tech game. I know the loss. Outside of the loss, I'm not sure that played much of a factor in Damien's decision at all. Was another strong visit to Ohio State. At this point, Damien knows everything that Ohio State can offer him on the field and off it, and I know he feels very comfortable with the coaching staff, loves Urban Meyer, very comfortable with the current recruiting class. Obviously, Kentucky strongly in the mix. Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M rounding out his top 5. Going to take officials to all 5 programs, but I still have Damien Harris in Ohio State's recruiting class.
Okay. What do you make of the recent chatter that the success Ohio State is having with younger backs like Ezekiel Elliott and Curtis Samuel may dissuade Damien given the playing time of the depth chart?
Well, I don't think it was any secret that Ezekiel was going to play and be successful prior to the season. And then Curtis Samuel stepping up and playing well continues to prove that Urban Meyer plays the best guy, and young guys play every year for Urban, and I don't think that's anything to worry about either.
Excellent. Okay, the next one, Christian Kirk, slot receiver or littler receiver out of Scottsdale, Arizona.
I have him out.
Yeah, me too, out. Unfortunately. Yeah, that's a shame. I really like Kirk. We talked a little bit about this on the front row yesterday after reading some stuff on the Texas A&M site. He, to me, is a more developed Jalen Marshall. If Jalen Marshall had played receiver his whole life, so that's a shame. But it does seem like he's definitely trending to Texas A&M, and then it looks like second place is USC. So if they're going to make a run at Christian Kirk, it's going to come late. Okay. Torrance, Gibson, dual threat quarterback, athlete extraordinaire out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in or out?
In. I think that he has Ohio State way, way, way out in front. Nothing's changed there. Torrance Gibson will be a Buckeye.
Yeah, there hasn't even been much chatter about him on the scene, as it were, among sources, so I think that's pretty much a done deal. Here's an interesting one. I was going to leave this guy off the list. It shows you what I know. Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle out of Suffield, Connecticut. In or out?
Well, I have him out, but Ohio State's in the lead group. You have Stanford, Stanford and Penn State at the top. I think Penn State's the team to beat. Certainly could see him at Stanford. Boston College, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State in that top 6. Ohio State will have a chance to get Christian back to campus for an official visit. I know Christian's very comfortable with Larry Johnson, Urban Meyer. For Christian, he'll just want to learn more about what Ohio State can offer away from the gridiron.
Interesting. Never have too many big guys, obviously with their line from suspensions and such. That's a reignited interest, possibly. Speaking of which, heading north of the border here, much further than that school up north, Neville Gallimore, the defensive tackle from St. Catharines, Ontario, in or out?
I have not made a prediction on Neville Gallimore, I've made one for Florida. I take that back. I don't know why I said that. I have him out right now for Ohio State. However, very, very open-minded going into the official visits, Gallimore is. And right now I have him out. I think that, Florida, Oklahoma may have a slight edge, but Florida State, Ohio State, Oregon, those are schools that certainly will have a chance to land Neville, and we'll see what happens when he gets through these officials.
Has he already taken his official to Ohio State?
No. He just took his first one to Oklahoma, had a very strong visit, has had a strong relationship with them from basically the beginning of when recruiting really took off for him. Ohio State, they're certainly going to have a chance. 5 schools I mentioned, all 5 are in it. I'm not sure there's a pecking order. I'm not sure that Neville has one way ahead of the other right now going into these officials based on people I've talked to. So everyone's got a chance here still.
Yeah, he seems like we're going to be talking a lot about Neville Gallimore going forward. So that's one for everyone to keep paying attention to. Another one we don't talk quite as much about, but my understanding is they really like him a lot. Out of Monica, Pennsylvania, cornerback Jordan Whitehead, in or out?
I still have him in. Visited for the Virginia Tech game. Haven't heard any reason to believe he won't be at Ohio State, but obviously he's got the official visit this weekend to West Virginia, and they've been considered a dark horse for much of the process. It'll be an exciting weekend in Morgantown this weekend with Oklahoma coming in there, and then they got a chance to knock the Sooners off. And then Penn State will get the last visit. But right now, I still like Ohio State for Jordan Whitehead.
Okay. Ohio State's quest for a big receiver. Will it land them Lawrence Cager, the wide receiver out of Towson, Maryland? Lawrence Cager, in or out?
I got Lawrence Cager in. Ohio State was the offer. One of the offers he wanted the most. He went to Friday Night Lights and earned that offer on the field. Loves everything about Ohio State, from the coaching staff to the big stage to the young men that are already committed to the Buckeyes. I have Lawrence Cager in this class. But he's definitely not deciding soon, going to go through the process and take his visits. So that's a family decision. So I don't expect Lawrence to pull the trigger anytime soon, but I do think it'll take a lot for a school to pass the Buckeyes.
Now, this is a name that we have not discussed a lot, and I think it's a long shot, but he's so good. I want to just throw him up here. I know you've had some insight into his recruitment. Terry Beckner, Jr., the strong side defensive end out of East St. Louis, Illinois, in or out?
Well, I have him out, but Ohio State's certainly giving him a lot to think about. Missouri's going to be tough to beat with the proximity to home, with them being in the SEC and with the strong ties that East St. Louis High School has with the Tigers, and Missouri does a great job recruiting that school, and their program is playing good football right now. But Chris Ash is really working here. Went to see Terry Beckner on Monday, as we reported on 24/7 Sports yesterday. I do think Terry Beckner is going to take an official visit to Ohio State. That certainly puts you in the mix. Terry hasn't been anywhere but Missouri, too, so it'll be interesting to see how he reacts when he starts getting a taste of something different. Schools like Auburn, Florida State, Ohio State, Oregon, challengers to Missouri for Terry Beckner, Jr., the nation's number 3 player overall, according to 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, Terry Beckner, Jr., a definite stud, and we hope Ohio State stays in the mix for it till the end. Okay, we're going to finish with a guy who could be large and in charge in Columbus, Matthew Burrell, the offensive lineman out of Hilton in Northern Virginia. Matthew Burrell, in or out?
I still think he's out. I know he's got Ohio State as his leader. He's been to Ohio State more than any other school, but sources near Burrell. I still think it's going to be Florida or Florida State going down to Tallahassee this weekend. Watch the Seminoles here with Matthew Burrell. The Seminoles have a chance to make a major move here. And don't get me wrong, I obviously would not be surprised if Matthew Burrell chose Ohio State, but I still have him out of this class.
Okay, we're not going to finish on the highest of notes there, Steve. You got to know how to make an exit, but we'll work on that in future shows. Again, Thursdays with Wiltfong. We appreciate him for joining us for the In and Out game. Keep it tuned to Bucknuts all day, and you just listen to some radio podcast stuff without any discussion of NFL malfeasance, so you're welcome. Steve, thanks for joining us, brother.
Appreciate it.